And like I said, man, you guys hear me say this a lot, how much I love you guys as my audience, especially like the faithful ones. Like, how much I love you guys is astounding. It's amazing even to me, because I didn't know I would love a bunch of strangers to the degree that I love all you guys. Like, that is 100% real. And I tell you guys, like, I can feel it in how much actual work I'm willing to do to try to come up with a good product for you guys. I'm telling you right there, that tells it all. Like, effort is actual work the real to try to come the real test here, right? For you guys, I'm telling you right there, that's what's really going on. Effort is how much work are you willing to do to get this thing going, right? And that's the thing, guys. I am willing to give you guys a maximum of effort every single time out of the gate. In fact, man, for the first time, I'm prepped like 3 shows in advance. I've got 3 more MythLabs already developed with artwork, right? But here's the thing. I know you guys don't actually care about that, but you do care about the MythLab. And again, I'm here for your mythological queries, right? Like, we're going to talk about myths. We're going to talk about gods and goddesses. But we're really going to talk about culture. Today is a particularly good one because I've been doing these triads for a little while, but I've kind of been developing like freestyles and triads by association. So today I just wanted to get into like the real triad, right? And this goes all the way back. This is the Memphite Triad. And this is no joke. This isn't the triad that's in Japan, Tokyo, right? We got to worry about that triad. This is a different triad. We're going to talk about that triad in a separate piece. But right now we're talking about the Memphite Triad. And triads were just magical, man. Like, in a belief system and culture where 9 is a sacred number, it makes sense that 3 is also a sacred number in that regard, because 3 is obviously like the root of 9, right? 3 threes, you get 9. 3 sets of 3, you get 9. So the triad is like the purest form of like establishing a cult. Like, that's the minimum for not just a couple of people. The triad means this is the first, like, you're an organizational structure, right? And we build upon that. So let's talk about this Memphite Triad, which, by the way, obviously great looking triad. Obviously great looking. And you have some very powerful beings here. You got we'll start with Ptah on this side of me here, right? We got Ptah over here. I should know this by now, right? We got Ptah over here. Directly above, we got Sekhmet. And then on this end, on this end, we have their son, Nefertem, okay? So, and that's how a lot of triads in this era, so we're talking Kemet, right? Before colonization and all that. So in this period of time, all these triads were families. Like, they were literally fam-bam. So it was a lot of times, like, because I would think like Asar, Aset, and Heru is another like triad that I'm familiar with. Or, one of the more famous triads, right? So I've always kind of looked at how, these triads work and the importance of talking about them. So this is the Memphite Triad. And we're going to talk about like the politics of Memphis at this time, because it's not just that it was just a triad. It's the Memphite Triad because this is talking about a centralization of power. So because of that, because this was a major city for that time, it had more influence on the literature and the mythologies that came out of it, right? So that's key. Not that one city's better than the other, but one city's better than the other sometimes, right? That's how it is, right? We care about New York more than we do about Fresno, right? I come from Fresno, but I know that culturally, we talk about New York a whole lot more. Not because Fresno's insignificant and the people don't matter, but this is New York, right? This is my hometown, so I'll be really honest. I expect more news on New York. Okay. So this was about the stabilizing forces of Memphis. And I'm going to get into why. Like, because it seems like an odd pairing if you know each of the deities who come through this, and we'll explain why. So one, you have a creator who builds through thought. That's Ptah. Not even a lot of deities can even say that. Like, the manifesting of everything in the universe, right? Through thought. I don't need tools. I don't need any of that stuff. Now, I did an interesting triad with Ptah yesterday where I compared him to some other construction deities known for construction, and that would include Ogun from West African or Yoruba beliefs, and also Hephaestus, who comes from Greek beliefs. All these guys, per their pantheon or religious system, were considered to be the master builder, right? But they all did it in very different ways. Like, Ogun was obviously a lot more like iron. He was the iron guy, like during the Iron Age. So we see that Hephaestus was also known as more of like an engineer, whereas Ptah, this guy was the whole mental game. So that's who he is in this role. And then you have in the center, you have Sekhmet, who is the lioness, right? And let's just give props to the lioness. Like the lioness in both mythology and in real life is like one of the deadliest things you could ever be around. Like I know we be, fearing the male lion and he gets his big, he's got the mane. But let's not joke, man. Like who does actually most of the hunting? It's the female lion. So that female lion personification, it's mad powerful, especially coming from this culture in this region of the world, right? So we see that play out with her, man. I watched I'm telling you, I watched a lion video the other day. It's like a hunt video, man. I'm telling you, these female lions are getting after it. And then I saw another video. This is what my For You page is like on TikTok, by the way. What I saw was another video like the male lion. It kind of got out of line. Maybe he was like, I don't know what he did. It's something to like one of the cubs. Man, and then female lions tore that ass up. They were all in that mix, man. They were just like wearing him out. So, maybe you ain't king of the lions. Maybe you hold the spot of king. Maybe it don't mean as much as we've been giving you credit for being. But that's not the conversation. The conversation is this very powerful female lion deity. So Ptah is already like, he builds the order. And I'm like, why would these two be together? It's such an odd pairing. Like this guy is like the quiet engineer who doesn't give anybody his phone number. And she's like the bloody mouth, beer swilling, lion goddess of vengeance. Like that's what every story that we know about Sekhmet, she was the problem. Right? I know it doesn't often start off as her being the problem, but by the middle of the whatever story you're reading that has Sekhmet in it, by the time you get to the middle of that story, you're like, Jesus, Sekhmet again, that's who she is. Like she went on a killing spree. Just to give you a little backstory. Always nice to have a little backstory, right? A little backstory on Sekhmet is that she lost it one day. Like she just went flat Looney Tunes, right? Would kill it. Ross sent her out, said, everybody's being disrespectful. I need you to get some respect about these folks. And she was like, I'm about it. And she is truly about that life. She was slaying legions. Whole legions went to oppose her. She was just slaying them out. So she's just like, I'm dripping in blood. They had to get her drunk to get her to stop. I want you guys to process that just for a moment. They had to get her drunk in order to get her to stop tripping. That should tell you everything you need to know about Sekhmet, right? Tells me everything I need to know about Sekhmet. Okay, but she got her beer and she went to sleep. But it's an odd pairing between the two until you realize she's the enforcer. That is her role. He is the builder. She is absolutely the enforcer. She's the one who's pressing people for getting out of line. He doesn't have to do anything. He can stay quiet. And even like their son, like, here's the thing, like, their son is the lotus flower. Their son is the lotus flower. All right? This ain't a tough family. You got a super scholar and flower boy, right? Or super scholar, flower boy. She's got to regulate everything coming in between. That's why she had to be. Initially, I'm like, how would those two, what did they sit down and talk about when they talked about getting together? Like, I was like, were you paying attention to who Sekhmet was? Because she don't seem like she's going to have any respect for you. You're all quiet and learning and writing shit down. But she is the enforcer within the system, which matters when you're talking about the structure of a civilization. So they are not simply a family. This is a metaphysical system, and that's where it all starts to make sense. So we're going to focus on that part, like that part of this part, right? And it makes sense when you look at their metaphysical roles and how they all actually are able to work together or can coincide together, okay? So this is obviously this triad comes from ancient Kemet, right? So primary center will be Memphis. This is the old kingdom onward. And this was theological justification for cosmic and political stability. Memphis was one of the oldest and most politically significant cities in Egypt. Its theology emphasized an intellectual creation, distinguishing it from solar dominant theories like Heliopolis. Okay, so this is very important because we never talk about that part. While all this timeline was running in what we call Kemet and Egypt, we forget the importance of the city-states, right? The individual cities. Heliopolis had its own set of like primary deities. They're all pulling from the same bucket of deities, but they gave them all different assignments. That's the best way I can say it. So if you're in Heliopolis and you're a solar deity in Kemet, man, they're gonna fast track you right to the top. Whereas you're in Memphis, who had a different structure, what do they elevate to the top? The intellectual, right? So that shows you what the difference is and why it matters. When we talk about mythology as a living thing, because it changes depending on who you're talking to. Literally, like what they value was different. Same empire, same pantheon, different ways that they interpret it. And that's one of the clearest, right? So they wanted to reflect different things about themselves culturally. Like the Memphite theology presents a universal structure rooted in cognition and speech. That's how the world comes about. Very different than the Heliopolis approach to an empire, right? So the first one, obviously, you want to talk about is Ptah. So let's get to Ptah. And I kind of just profiled Ptah the other day, but I'll go into it for this one because this one I'll talk a little bit more about what his role with this group is. Let me move my MythLab down here, right? Not a meth lab, it's a MythLab. That's an important qualifier according to the police, okay? So Ptah of Memphis, again, his name is Ptah. His root of his name, the p, right? The p, right? That literally means to open or to sculpt and form. So that tells you, like, right out the box, this is what his mama gave him, right? He was going to be, you're going to create stuff. Ptah, right? You're going to be a creator. And your domain is creation through intellect and speech, right? So we get that about him. This is why he's essential. Now, his symbol, of course, is that Wajed and the Ankh. You can see a picture there. It's the Wa scepter with the Ankh at the top. It's a very important iconography. You can literally identify this, right? So unlike the creator gods, Ptah does not create through emergence. He's not turning his body or creating by his presence. He's creating with cognition and his ability to articulate. So this guy's blueprints. So he's got the blueprints. He wrote out the blueprints. He didn't share the blueprints with anybody else, but he has the blueprints, and then he spoke the blueprints into life. That's how he actually does it. And his creation for him occurs to a couple of very important organs. It is the heart, right, which what is said to be the seat of intelligence and thought, per the Kemetic belief system. So he's speaking from his seat of intelligence and thought, and then it's translated through his tongue. The tongue is the instrument of command and speech. And before you start anything crazy, stop it right now. I just said the tongue is the instrument of command and speech. We're not talking about it in any other fashions for this MythLab. I'll thank you very much, Jeremy. Okay. So this was very important because this is like your ideology. He's the intellectual origin of existence. He's the architect of divine hierarchy. He's the source of metaphysical everything itself. That's who he is. Spontaneous. This is not spontaneous generation. This is very deliberate design. He didn't do anything by accident. He'd be pissed off if you tell him that he was either an accident or a miracle. I could see him calling Sekhmet to punch you in the face. Because he's not going to punch you in the face, right? That's the important thing to know about. This guy's not getting his hands dirty. But that's why he has Sekhmet, and we'll talk about her in a minute. Okay. Now, historically, this is way back. I think the first mentions of Ptah are about 3000 BCE. So now we're tracking more than like 5,200 years that this guy's been on the scene. Undaunted on the scene. Right. So, oh man, what's going on here? So, Memphis, so during this period of time, around 2686, Memphis is the political capital. He is elevated to the state creator deity. Again, the state is very important. And he continues to be the patron of craftsmen and all that stuff. By the late period, he is preserved forever in the Shabaka stone under the Kushite rule, right? So different rulerships are changing. He's still locked in there. Just like I said, he's a patron of artists, of architects, sculpture, all metal workers, all that stuff falls under him. And there are a lot of theological implications that creation starts as a mental blueprint. So the idea, I think this is on the, again, an early concept of the thought being powerful in creation, manifesting ability. So anyone who's like, yeah, I meditate, anyone who's like, I manifest, like I'm manifesting all these good things, I'm speaking into existence, right? You know that whole crowd of people. That whole crowd of people were like, I'm gonna manifest good things in my life, okay? This is, you guys owe it to this guy. Because he was the first one to do that. He was the first documented person to ever say, I'm gonna think of something and I'm gonna make it real. I'm gonna think of something that I've never even seen before outside of my noodle. I'm gonna see something I've never seen before, it's never been created before, and I'm gonna manifest that. That's what he meant, and that's why he's very important, because he is like, he was unique in that archetype. There's not a lot of that in other deities. I don't think I found anyone else, and I've been doing some comparisons because I did a lot of research for you guys, right? In a mythical context, he doesn't dominate the narrative myths like, you know, Asar or Ra. Like those guys clearly want to hog up all the glory, right? Clearly Ra is, you know, kind of an attention hoe, right? That I always say. Ptah isn't that. He's background architect. He doesn't need or want the front line. That's not who he's going to be. So culturally, again, I think we take on a role of like the intellect and how we would view them. He prefers the background role. He puts everything together. Now we have the enforcer. Because it needs an enforcer, right? Why it needed an enforcer, I don't know, but Ptah knows a whole lot better than I do. So the idea was that he formed a triad, and he starts with Sekhmet, the powerful one, right? That's one of her names. Or as I like to call it, the one who stays tripping. Okay. There's few gods out there, deities, you know, netters or whatever, that are willing and want to. Like, you know, there's a couple of creeds in life. Like there's the Hope Creed. I don't know if you guys know about this. This is some old mythology. There's a Hope Creed and there's a Wish Creed. And these are philosophies about how you get through the world on your everyday basis. You guys have probably adopted this in some way, shape, or form, right? The Wish Creed or the Hope Creed, okay? Now, the Hope Creed is a very peaceful creed. It sounds like it. It's got hope right in it, right? Hope means something to a lot of people. I hope everything works out. That's a powerful statement of the world. I hope everything. When I go outside in the world, I hope everything goes. I hope I don't have any problem with anybody. And that's most of this. I hope I don't have a problem with anybody today, okay? And then there's the Wish Creed. The Wish Creed is so different. The Wish Creed is so different because the Wish Creed doesn't wish that I have a good day. The Wish Creed wishes somebody would test me. That's the difference. The Hope Creed is going to hope that everything goes well. The Wish Creed is like, they're happiest when somebody did test them. Not, man, I hope nobody tests me today. They're like, I wish would test me today. That's the difference. Sekhmet is Wish Creed. She's looking for it, right? She wants, I'm telling you, she's more problematic than Set. Set's got a very bad reputation, but if we get into like what was actually going on with Set and his brother and his wife, like you'd be like, okay, Set, I'm kind of starting to see your point a little bit. I believe you went too far with it, but I get, you know, I get in a roundabout way, I get where you were coming from. And I'm like, overall, I can't even like, you know, I can't really boo-hoo you, right? I can't really put you down for coming through with that belief system, right? But that's essentially like Set and Sekhmet. Sekhmet is always a problem. If she hasn't been a problem in your life, it's because you haven't run into her yet. That's the only reason you haven't had a problem with Sekhmet yet, because you haven't run up into her. And hopefully you won't. I hope that you don't, but understand that she wishes that you would. I hope you don't. She wishes that you would. And that's not the only difference between me and her, but we'll get into this later. Because she's power. That is who she is. She's also war. She's also plague. And then, of course, she is royal enforcement. So her symbols, of course, being the lioness, the solar disc. Like, this is what she's known for. So her iconography is always a lion-headed woman crowned with a sun disc. And she is a solar aggression. She's solar aggression embodied. You see all them flames out there, right? She was the eye of Ra. Meaning like, yeah, I go out there and I handle Ra's business. What did you say? That's who Sekhmet is. Who said that? Who said something about Ra? Was it you? That's who Sekhmet is in a nutshell, right? Who said that? And I'll show you. Say it again. That's what she wants, right? Again, Wish Creed. So in some of her function in theology, she operates as divine punishment. When I said Ra sent her out amongst the people to slay forth, it was because they had been tripping. Like, she was retribution. She was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to get that ass in line. And she did. Sure enough, she did get ass. She got that ass so in line that we had to get some beer to get her to stop. That's how effective she was at her job. She is the manifestation of solar wrath, and she is the protector of kingship. That's how you see, like, oh, that's Sekhmet. That's what she is. So we take all the raw stuff that she's been doing and we force it into something good, where she can still people up, but for the greater good. And I think that matters a lot. That changed a lot for her, that you could do it for the greater good. So she does. But she is a devastating effect. She is controlled devastation. She is purifying destruction. She is enforcement of cosmic boundaries. That's everything. She nearly, in the near destruction of mankind, she nearly annihilated humanity. In that, when Ra was like, go out and handle that business, he should have been more specific. He should have given her a number, because no one ever thought she'd kill all these people like she did. She was just, like, prolific. Terminator's got nothing on her, right? But she is destruction, but she is not chaotic. Now, her period is pretty old as well. She's known from the old period as well, attested to in the pyramid text. So if you get in the pyramid text, you're minted, man. Like, you're minted. That's better than the Hollywood Walk of Fame, right? You're cemented. Her primary centers would have been Memphis, obviously, but also Thebes, and she was associated with the royal military campaigns. This is who they called upon because she brought wrath down on everybody else. Now, she has rituals as well. Like, she got her worship on. And you can see why. I'm scared of her right now. I'll probably leave some food out for her, just in case. There's a lot of deities I ain't worrying about. But just in case Sekhmet's real, I'm going to do something about it right now. I'm going to be proactive. I'm not going to be the Avengers. We're pre-Vengers over here. We're going to stop the nonsense by bowing down to her right now, giving her whatever she wants. Whatever you want. I'm sorry, I have some beer in the refrigerator. You can have all of it, okay? Because that's who she is. She's known for inflicting plagues, but also being a healer. So she's kind of bipolar at the same time. How do you bring plagues and then end plagues at the same time? Like, that seems like there will be some type of internal conflict. But again, I better quit talking about her because I never know when that wrath is going to come down. Now, what she does represent, though, is state violence. We have to be real. She represented civilization, and they're like, yeah, sometimes we got to whoop your ass for justice. So she represented that. She represented divine retribution. She represented solar authority. So this is what makes her ultimately unique. Her key mythologies, you have to remember, is that she nearly destroyed all of mankind. That's everybody's. That's my great whatever's, and yours, and everybody else's. She was just like, I guess we're the lucky ones. Our great grandpops were the ones who made it. All their brothers and uncles and friends, they didn't make it, right? That's the wrath. That's catching the wrath of the nunchucks. That's what Sekhmet is. Sekhmet is the wrath of the nunchucks. And culturally, she reflected a society that had experienced warfare, had reason to fear pandemics, right? Plagues. They had obviously been experiencing that. Like, again, mythology is just an expression of culture, right? Of what the culture is thinking and feeling. So this is where you get Sekhmet in there, right? That was a weird one. Colonizers. I'm sorry, colonizers. You guys, I was a little thrown off of that. Like, I'm not sure what team you're. Let's see here. Okay. So we'll keep it cracking here, right? I didn't know what that meant, right? I'm not that great on TikTok part, right? I'm still like, come on, man. 54, right? Let's be honest about a lot of stuff. Like, when I started my first computer was Commodore VIC-20. Yeah, y'all don't even know what that is. So whatever, okay? I'm still in the game though, okay? So back to Sekhmet, right? The powerful one. So she brings all the heat to everybody. You always need that one person. I'm gonna tell you guys, in life, right? This is Gen X advice for you guys, right? This is sage Gen X advice. I was one of the first latchkey kids ever, right? I'm minted in that regard, okay? There's like the first test tube baby, and there's like the first latchkey kid. That was me. There's me holding a key like getting the whole ceremony. I'm inducted in this, right? You always need somebody that can handle outside tension within the group, right? You always need somebody who handles that threat. Like we're all smart. We're all going to study. We're all a bunch of nerds like Ptah and Nefertem, right? Remember, look at those guys. You have to have somebody who answers the door with aggression when somebody comes knocking. Everybody needs someone who's like, hey, welcome, come on in. But every now and then, you need someone who comes to the door with what? Who is it? That's Sekhmet. Set is one of those guys, right? And Montu is another one of those entities where like they're there to handle that business. And when we need them, you're going to be glad you have them when you actually need them. They may be a pain in the ass when they're just hovering around doing nonsense. You're like, man, we better have a bunch of beer because she's known. Hey, there's my girl Kat. Good evening, welcome. This is my UK Connect, right? Again, internationally known, right? This is a title I can take on now. Internationally known, locally respected. That's actually what I like. I'm very happy with that. And Kat is always like the highlight of my breakdowns, right? So she's in here. Now I've been holding back. I was kind of holding back a little bit. I didn't want to tell the rest of you guys I was holding back because you guys might feel a certain way about that. And I get it. But now that she's here, I don't have to hold back anymore. So let's get into it. And she came at the right time because now we get to talk about Flower Boy, who is Nefertem, right? And again, like, look, all right, this is Nefertem. He's Flower Guy. We're not even going to hold that against him, right? It has a total significance for him to be the Flower Guy, right? Can you get behind me, though? So let's drop him back here. I'm telling you, I'll be doing a lot of stuff doing this one-man show, right? Okay, so Nefertem obviously is the core, and he's known as the Beautiful One. We're not surprised by that. Is anybody surprised that he is considered to be the Beautiful One? I'd say not. He's associated with rebirth, right? Which is why he has the flower there, healing, and fragrance. And his symbol is the blue lotus. His iconography is this youth with the crowned lotus bloom. Like we see that. The lotus bloom is how you see him. Now he is the son. How you get like a quiet engineer, architect brain, and somebody who's known for setting it off, and that this is your son. But that's how it works. That's how life is. Everybody has, like your kid comes out, your nephew, and you're like, I never expected that. You know what? But do your thing, young man. Do your thing. That's how you grow and you evolve, right? My cousin's kid is playing professional soccer in Germany right now. Figure that, right? Figure that. Like, I'm back in the American South, which is where my family originates from. And now for us to be like, yeah, we're in the South and moved to California. Now, like, he's over in Germany balling out, right? So that's a big thing. So Nefertem serves a purpose, although he looks very different than what his parents were, right? What they contributed. But he still contributes a lot. And we're going to talk about what he contributes, right? So he's known as the son of Ptah and of Sekhmet, okay? Functionally within the ideology, he is said to emerge from the primordial lotus at creation. That's that kind of reminds me of like Aphrodite and how she emerges from the conch shell. That's kind of what I think about. And she's also kind of, he's more solar rebirth. She's more beauty, but yeah, he's more like the lotus symbol, and that represents the primeval waters. So even though he's shown as a youth, he is, linked to the oldest parts of the mythology, right? The emergence from the noon, which were the primeval waters. And he is solar rebirth. So you have some solar aspects in both his mom in Sekhmet and himself. Pop's not so much. I don't know if that's your real kid or not. I'm going to assume it is, though. And he is the healer after plague. So you see a lot of him being connected to Sekhmet, right? He kind of plays a complementary role through her, and he is renewal following enforcement. So all that stuff right in, okay? Something went bad. We called Sekhmet. And she did what Sekhmet does. He comes after her, and after she brought the plague and everything, and you're all sick, and for once you survived, then there's Nefertem. He's like, I'm really sorry. That's just how she is. She's direct. It's just company policy, So he completes this cycle that is initiated by Ptah, executed by Sekhmet, literally, and then healed and wrapped up. So he's also primarily associated with Memphis, obviously. He appears primarily in the New Kingdom temple inscriptions and the funerary texts because he's about rebirth. Now, his rituals were very specific because he's a deity associated with fragrance. So, yeah, perfume. He liked perfume. You show up with something really good smelling he's never smelled, he's probably going to be like, where did you get that? Like, you can absolutely bring him some light blue, right? Which is my favorite scent. You can absolutely send him some nice scent, and he's going to be appreciative of it. He appreciates all that. And, you know, purification is a part of his role, youth renewal, and the fragrance in Egyptian religion signified divine presence. So wearing perfume is divine, and it's also ritual purity. Like, I guess you're purifying any musty smells that will be floating around. I'm not quite sure, but, you know, it probably works that way. So in theology, he represents the regeneration, that continuity that comes from regeneration, beauty after severity, and stabilization after rebirth. And in the myth context, he's linked to a bunch of creation symbolism, and I don't know that there's any major narratives written around him. There's a lot written about, you know, Sekhmet, obviously. There's a lot written about, you know, Ptah. I was not able to find. I've been kind of looking at him for a little while, so I don't find any major mythology stories written around him. But you will find information on him in the what do they call it? The temple, the coffin text, right? So there's a lot, and there's some spells that are associated with him as well, like some ritual spells, like for renewal and things like that. Now it's clicking in my head of why that is, right? Yeah, he kind of looks like a Buddha symbol. Like, yeah, you're right. He's closely associated with like a Buddha symbol. The flower and the lotus is like the key that really ties that in. Like, again, that's something we'll probably have to look at, like the lotus flower representation in other belief systems, because that is like a very unifying thing. So overall, what this gives, you know, again, this is the Memphite Triad. This is a political capital. This is Ptah was the patron of the artisans and the craftsmen, right, and the architects. Sekhmet had major cult centers around this area, and healing priesthoods, and the army was like, whenever they had to go handle business, they were like, Sekhmet, Sekhmet. Like, they were carrying Sekhmet with them because they're like, yeah, we want to be able to jack people up, right? So yeah, I got that on Buddha. Like, you're 100% right on Buddha. And this triad, you know, kind of reinforces all the levels: the intellectual of the capital, political stabilization, and an innovator in the afterlife as well, or the theological part. Now, obviously, to me, this is one of the more complete triads, because Ptah gives you vision, he gives you planning, he gives you a strategic mind, where Sekhmet gives you will, discipline, and boundaries. Nefertem gives you growth, healing, and emotional renewal. So a person without Sekhmet cannot defend their vision, right? A person without Nefertem burns out without renewal. A person without Ptah has no direction. So from your personal house, you got to encompass all of it. Sometimes you got to like be the engineer and sit and study and be quiet and not bother anybody. Just go study and do your goddamn homework, okay? And sometimes you got to while out and drink some beer and like wreak havoc. And then after that, you're going to personally have to heal and maybe heal the people around you. So this, like, on a personal level, inside the noodle, it gives you kind of everything that you need. Now, I'm going to work on a couple of the triads, like some of the more well-known triad, the Theban triad, which is Amon, Mut, and Kansu. And then the Hindus have a triad, of course, that's Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. And then we'll talk about the triad between like Jupiter, Juno, and Minerva. So triads are the thing almost in all cultures. So we really like, it's easy, it's relatable, right? We can kind of understand how they work as small units, especially around a particular geographic region. So that is the early MythLab today. Thank you guys all for stopping in, especially Kat. And what I'm going to do is dip for a little while. Oh, yeah. I always finish right around lunchtime. I don't know if you guys realize that, but every time I get done, I go get something to eat afterwards. Like, I start when I'm hungry, and when I'm done, like, I'm ravenous and I'm ready to go. But hopefully I gave you guys a good MythLab. I'm going to cut these videos up into smaller. So if you just want to hear Nefertem, or if you're like, I only want to care about Sekhmet, I'm going to cut those up. So they'll be available on the site. As always, I ask you to hit that like and subscribe. Thank you again. I appreciate you coming in, Kat. I love giving the lesson, man. I honestly, man, I'm not going to tell you guys. It sounds weird, but I kind of love you guys, man. I actually kind of love you. It's 5 p.m. here. It is just noon here. So that's our gap. So when you guys want to go to visit the UK, deal with that time gap, right? But that's the fun part of travel. But I'll be back on later, and maybe you'll still be up, Cat. I think I'm probably gonna, because I've been doing one about 4 hours from now, so it might be 9 o'clock or so, 10 o'clock your time. So I'll be back. Looking forward to you guys. Definitely enjoyed being on there.